No, so I guess like how I've written this down is do it as a review. It's not really They're not really reviews. Like I'm just talking about different topics, I guess. But yeah, I think one of the problems before was that I would say that I was going to do a review of a film, and because I would have that much shit on my mind, I would talk for like an hour and a half. So I think that splitting it all out like I used to do into everything that I think I want to talk about and trying to keep it to like 20 minutes. Well, I don't really give a shit. But anyway, so I thought another thing that I'll talk about was Harry Potter for a while. It's a weird one because J.K. Rowling seemed to be responding to some of the shit I was saying about her, and she seemed to be getting pretty fucking wound up. Now like it's quite annoying for me. It's one of those things where like I was going to be quite disparaging, but actually I've flipped and seen it in another way, and I constantly do that because there are lots of stuff that I like about her writing, and there is a layering within her stories which is great. But I think that one of the problems that we've like so I guess I'll just start at the beginning. So I've watched one, two, and three over the last couple of days, and I've also been playing the Hogwarts Legacy game. So I saw that she didn't have anything directly to do with the Hogwarts Legacy game, but that it was her production company that that created it. And I think, well, she probably had quite a bit to do. Probably had quite a bit to do with it. Now I'm going to be transcending into like a world of sort of a pagan slash what are the fucking satanic people called? They believe in like the occult and shit, right? So it's going to be like transcending through various different forms of like the occult and um like essentially what they perceive to be witchcraft. Now, like I've talked wizardry. No, I've talked about this before, and that I don't believe. I think all of it is just the power of the mind. It really is just as simple as the power of the mind can do a lot. If Christianity was the biggest religion, its method of teaching and what it wanted as a whole, that's what got bestowed onto people. Just the same as when you have these and I think that when you have exceptionally strong individuals within smaller groups, they can sometimes be much more powerful than bigger groups because they've created these people that will not be changed, regardless of how big something else is. So, I also think that if you pay attention to something that has a lot of power behind it and has a lot of support behind it, like I noticed little things like I would read something that I would like within the game or within a book. Uh, Not the books, because I haven't reread them for years, but I did try and listen to some of the audiobooks in lockdown, but I couldn't really do it. Um, but like the game, there was one where it was a spell where it was like something, it was to do with like if they cast a spell on you, it meant that you cast a disarming spell straight back at them. And I liked that, right, because I always liked the ethos behind jiu-jitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu in that or judo. I always liked the philosophies within those martial arts because it's using someone's energy against them, right? I guess that's uh, what people say when they refer to like a 69 as some sort of like insult where you're saying something that is disparaging towards you and the other person. I guess that works a lot better. And also, if you look at a 6 and a 9 and you put them together, they do make an 8. Like if you put that there and then you put that there, it does make two circles. It's almost like it's a poetry for life, isn't it? Like It's almost like the yin and the yang, that circle there with a curve and that circle there with a curve. It's like that flicking out from that circle is wrapping around that circle, and that flicking out from that circle is like wrapping around that circle. I think that that's forever as far as we know through the instruction that we take. But I think that what I noticed after casting that spell and liking it. So I don't think it comes from necessarily like that as people that you read a book and that everything that happens within that book will happen to you exactly. But I think that when you like stuff more, you definitely notice it happening a lot more. Especially if you're someone that's gone into if you liked jujitsu so that you went to it on and off for a couple of years and you pick stuff up even just by the things that you're learning. So then when you start to absorb more of it in, fucking stories about wizards and shit, like, because what I noticed was that from that point onwards, for about 5 days, everything that somebody attacked me with, I could sort of see in their face that it was hitting them straight back, or half an like this guy laughed at me about taking ages to put this tap together, right? Like on this plumbing course, and then everything that I did after that, I did rapid, and then he got stuck on the same thing, and then looked really embarrassed when I went back to him 15 minutes later. Stuff like that just kept happening for about a week, where people would take the piss out of me, and then I would just see that it was happening straight back to them. So I think that people have talked about this shit over and over and over again, but I think that there isn't like I think that when it comes to like the occult, or when it comes to, none of it's real. If you wiped out every single person that listened to all of that shit, if you wiped out all of their books, if you wiped out all of their teachings, if you wiped out everything that they listened to, if you wiped out all the people that practiced it, it would be gone. I think that the only way that it exists is through people's interpretation of the poetry of the world, and then them getting more people to believe that. So if there's only one person, if you see us all as chimps, and then you get one person to create a story, and then all the people in their town listen to that story, all the people in those towns are going to make so many aspects of that story real because they've absorbed it into their ears. It's then been programmed into their minds. So they're going to live it. That's nothing more. So, what this shit like religion, paganism, the occult, all this bullshit that these people murder people over, it's nothing more than having a program downloaded onto them. That's as simple as it is. And through that you think, well, why wouldn't you want to learn more? And I think that this is the fundamental problem. And I think this is how you see people that are this is how you see the people that are the problem with life, and how you see people that are solving problems with life. Because when you have somebody that's had a program downloaded onto them and they say, I don't want anything else, you think that's sort of fine, right? That's absolutely fine for you to have had something downloaded onto you and for you to say that's all you want, right? If you then threaten me, right, with murdering me in my home, right, if you then start murdering musicians and artists because they've had a bunch of other stuff downloaded onto them, and they're now trying to amalgamate all of that information into something new. If you then shoot those people in the fucking head in a crowd of people because they've had different programs downloaded onto them than you have, that means you're a problem with life, right? Like if you've had less information put into you and and you want to murder people, that means you're the problem. But if you're willing to absorb and learn new things, to constantly grow and learn new shit, that means that you're the opposite of the problem. So Harry Potter, I mean, it's a weird one. Because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, people are complaining about what she's saying about women's rights and transgender stuff. A lot of it, I just think, well, I'm not a woman, so I like, but I do understand. Like, things that I don't understand about it are this whole bullshit with, like, we need to care. Men are, like, we need to care about, like, men shitting in a woman's toilet or woman shitting in a man's toilet. And you think, we all use mixed gender toilets at home. There are so many bars and pubs that have these days that have mixed gender bathrooms. Like, and I've never once walked into one of them and thought, oh god damn, I'm gonna rape every woman in here. Right? But it's not a thought process. Do you know what I mean? For the most part, I just went in there and thought, I'm going to take a piss. It's quite nice being in a cubicle instead of standing pissing at a fucking ceramic thing on the wall, surrounded by 12 men. quite, quite nice, like having a bit of privacy. Didn't really think much. Didn't even. This is my thought. Years later, didn't even think that at the time. I just thought, oh, it's a mixed gender bathroom. Just went in there, pissed, left. This is what happens when you see a mixture in the bathroom. So and it seems weird to me. Like, so I don't understand this whole fucking. We should have separate. It seems like another thing which is keeping something sacred. Like, why do you need it to be sacred? What about that is sacred? I don't really. And I think for the most part, it's because there are, like, you look at like the state of some public toilets, and you think that's probably why. You think the types of people that will just walk into a bathroom and shit on the floor and piss all over it, and then nobody wants to clean that up. So then more and more people see that there's shit on the floor and piss all over it, and then they just go and do it. You think, well, and you think that's maybe a bit more of a man thing than a woman thing. Maybe, I don't know. And you think that might be some sort of problem there, but you think, well, then you just have to try and sort of sort out the problem of people that want to do that, don't you? Do you know what I mean? You have to think about the people that want to go into that want to go into that bathroom next. And I think that this is more of, and with shit like that, I think that this is something to do with when you get into the root of that. It's like this whole thing that I've talked about before with women are like incubators. They have a higher, they have less of a tolerance to it's like the reason they shave their legs and stuff, right? They have less of a tolerance to bacteria because even when they don't want to have kids, they don't realize that they want to harbor life, so they want everything to be clean around them. And when they see dirt, they don't want to see that dirt, right? Because they go, oh, I don't want to see that because that's going to damage me harboring life inside my stomach. Whereas men don't have that. So the whole like argument of like, oh, the toilet seat needs to be kept up or down. I don't even know which one it is. I don't really date girls like that. So like, I don't remember which one it is. But like, there's the whole thing of like, always keep the toilet seat up or down, or some shit. And you think that's because men know it pisses women off. I've been dropping a lot of puns today, but like that's because men know it pisses women off, right? So like, you think, well, you could either say that we stop pissing each other off. It's just a whole fucking weird thing of all this shit that we need to keep sacred, and you think, why do you need to keep it sacred? It's such a fucking stupid. This is stupid fucking bullshit, man. Do you know what I mean? Because for normal everyday people, they don't want to go in. They don't want to go into a girl's bathroom to piss all over the toilet seat to piss them off. They're just going to use a bathroom. So you think that that's a weird one. And in terms of breaking it down, like as a metaphor, I guess what she's saying is men shouldn't insult women and women shouldn't insult men, which is even weirder. And I don't know why we would stay so secular. I don't know how that helps any sort of progression within a society where we want voices for women and voices for men. And this goes back to what I've said before, and this isn't anything to do with promoting monarchy, but you would think that why don't we have a male and a female leader? Why don't we have? I always liked the Dutch way of how their political systems run, because they have, from what I was reading years ago, that they have multiple candidates that represent multiple different parties. And I think something like that transcended into how our government runs now. Like, why do we have one person at the head? And why wouldn't you maybe have two people working together? Do you know what I mean? You cover a lot more ground there. And then, especially if you have two understanding people, two people that are understanding of the other gender's needs. Do you know what I mean? So they don't go, shut that down, or I want to piss on that straight away. If they can actually have a conversation and absorb it, you think that having somebody that would promote both sides would be best. And you would think that that's a no-brainer, really. But I don't think they want to entertain that. I don't. So I posted something on Facebook about that years ago, and it didn't make me very popular. So I'm guessing for some reason they don't want that. I don't know. Anyway, Harry Potter. I was just looking at it and I was thinking, I mean, everyone's complaining about what she's saying about fucking trans people. Like, straight up had goblins in there with long hook noses controlling the money. I mean, like, I don't, I don't know, like, at what point people weren't going. Is that not just blatant hatred of Jewish people? Do you know what I mean? And I don't even know if it's hatred. I think that within that world, those people take it sort of light and breezy, and that for people that don't understand it, they go mental over it, right? But you think it's quite clearly setting out from the offset that it's incredibly right wing. But it's a cool story. Do you know what I mean? Which is it's quite frustrating when somebody makes something so political. And what you do start to see is that what you do start to notice is that creativity comes really easy to some people. I guess, like with the Harry Potter series, what she's really good at is like in like she one has a great look at life in order to like what she sees life as is fantastic, but her writing style is quite immature. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't think she's done it intentionally to appeal to kids because it gets so much better by like the third book. So I think that she was just not. I think that she just got loads better. But even in the first book, her view of like what life is, her knowledge of what the poetry of the world is was really good. But then she's also like incredibly immature and on a lot of like the writing styles, and I think that that comes across so much. I don't know if the people that directed the films were trying to say that to her by by Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter and stuff, but like there's a lot of stuff in it where I think did they just literally try to mug her off by reducing her to like childish crap here. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna watch. I've seen them all so many times. I don't think I'm gonna watch much more than three. I didn't really want to sort of like for me, it's a great story, but I think just because like me personally, I don't want to write stuff because I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to be. I don't want to become a great storyteller, and then ram a book full of shit like that to program kids with. That seems like mad. But I guess it does let you see where you sit on that. And I just think like I don't know, man. I think that And then on the flip side of it, you think, well, what do like? There's a lot of rappers that talk disparagingly about white people. And they allow a lot of that shit. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of Jewish people there's a lot of Jewish comedians that will that will rinse the piss out of white people. So you do think, well, why aren't white people allowed to do that? Do you know what I mean? And that's another way to that's that's another way to look at it is, well, why aren't white people allowed to do that? Because you would quite happily have US comedians doing some sort of like white person voice, right? Or like white person character, and that's absolutely fine. But then if you get somebody white doing we have to keep it super quiet. Do you know what I mean? We're not allowed to make it as obvious what we're doing, or it gets cut down and removed from society. And you think, why is that? Um, so yeah, I mean, I guess not really, like I don't know her, so I wouldn't presume to take things out of context and make some sort of crazy judgment on her character. But sometimes people just do that anyway, and I'm sure that I've done that before. But like, I do think she's a woman. She has a right to whatever views she has on being a woman. I don't know why we would class men that have had surgery to become women as women. And I do think that what that is that's Masons and various people that love the occult thinking that she was a rat by talking about the stuff that she's talking about. She opened other people's eyes into their world, whether it was negatively or positively. And I think that they saw that she was working within charities, and they saw that she was probably had some sort of human rights shit within her at a younger age, especially maybe not so much now, but and I think that they wanted to, and I think they did this to women. I've talked about before how certain people lead a flock, and I think that maybe she was ahead of the curve on certain issues, and I think that that's members of the occult going out and getting ahead of feminism and going, well, if you're going to moan about what you are and the situations that you are in and that you've been given, the hand that you were dealt, what we're going to do is we're going to get a bunch of men and we're going to cut their dicks off, and then we're going to get them to moan about how they're not women. Because essentially, what they feel like women are doing by moaning about feminism is they're saying that what those women want is to be men, not to be women. So I feel like what that whole thing was there was some like 69, when you've got a bunch of women that have gone, oh, we want free, we want our rights back. Well, not our rights, well, sort of our rights back, because there didn't used to be laws stopping women from having certain abilities and powers. But I think that what's happened there is women have gone, we don't like this world. And the people leading the occult have gone, well, we'll follow something else. And we think that you're complaining about not being a man. So we're going to give you a load of men. They're going to cut their dicks off and they're going to say that they're women. I think that that's what happened there. But yeah, Harry Potter, don't want to watch any more of it. I'm going to finish the game because the game is fucking loads of fun. But I just don't want to absorb anymore. I don't want to hate her. I don't want to ruin my image of shit that I liked in childhood. You know, I don't want to cloud my judgment. I don't want to be looking at I don't want to cloud my judgment like that. So yeah, I'm just not gonna pay attention to it anymore because again, I just want to stop watching all TV and film, to be honest, and maybe looking at something that I loved as a kid and starting to hate it and not wanting to pay attention to it is is a pretty good indication of what I want from life.